Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming to the Kobe Malmo Innovation Bridge. I'm Moego Toro from Innovation Dojo Japan, and I'll be guiding this event today. This event is a part of Kobe City's initiative, Kobe Global Startup Support, where we provide business matching support for global startups to enter the Japan market, starting here from Kobe. Today, I'm delighted to welcome our special guests from Malmo City and also Tokyo to explore the startup ecosystem in the Nordic area, especially the potential opportunities in Malmo City, Sweden. Okay, so at the end of the event, we have plenty of time for networking, so please discover the needs and possible ways of collaboration with Malmo City. So thank you everyone for coming today. Please relax and enjoy the event. ちょっと日本語で失礼します。皆様、本日は神戸マルメのイノベーションブリッジイベントにお越しいただきありがとうございます。イノベーション登場ジャパンの後藤田と申します。本日司会進行を務めさせていただきます。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。さて本日のイベントはですね、神戸市の支援事業、外国人起業家、海外スタートアップ企業等のビジネスサポートの一環として開催しております。失礼しました。本日は、東京またスウェーデンから北欧のスタートアップエコシステム、特にスウェーデンマルメ市における取り組みをご紹介いただけるゲストを招いております。やはり北欧といえばサステイナブルというイメージをお持ちの方がたくさんいらっしゃると思いますが、そういったサステイナブル含め他の領域についても、プレゼンテーションがイベントの後半では実施されます。またイベントの最後にはですね、ネットワーキングの時間もたっぷり設けておりますので、この機会にぜひ、北欧からのゲストの皆様、あと本日日本の企業さんとあと起業家さんの方もいらっしゃっておりますので、そういった方々とぜひ新しいネットワークをしていただければと思います。So to kick off this event, I would like to invite Taku Takeda, the director of Kobe City, up to the stage. それでは開催にあたりまして、神戸市新産業創造課武田課長よりご挨拶を賜りたいと思います。Please welcome Taku Takeda.
Hi everyone. Thank you all for being a part of this event with Malmo City. My name is Taku Takeda. I'm Director of New Industry Development Division at Kobe City. So I oversee all the startup initiatives. First of all, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Malmo City and so its representative, Michael Nord, who co-hosts this event with us. We are really excited to have this event today because the relationship between Malmo and Kobe started back in 2020, which was the very timing of pandemic was started. At that time, both of us had Global Innovation Center of UNOPS in Malmo and Kobe, and were respectively running a global innovation challenge to support startups who tackled on solving real challenges related SDGs goal. With this background, now I'm happy to see the face of Malmo City to act physically here in Kobe. And so I do believe that this event could be opportunities to accelerate our collaboration further. And also for Malmo City to seek any opportunities of collaboration with Japanese corporates or even the people who are joining the event today. The theme of today's event is Innovation Bridge. For Kobe City, innovation is a kind of important word as we have been keen to work on many initiatives related to innovation since 2016. And now our ecosystem is getting grown in a way that around 200 startups are based in Kobe. And more stakeholders, including corporates, innovators, or universities have been involved. Now we are ready to connect with like-minded ecosystem players to grow our ecosystem globally. And I believe that Malmo City could become a bridge for us to be connected with Sweden or even Nordic countries. Last but not least, I hope you all will enjoy the event and make a meaningful conversation and network today. Tack så mycket.
Thank you, Takeda-san. ありがとうございました。So now before we jump into the presentation of Nordic area, since we have a lot of people outside of Kobe City, I would like to invite Joshua Flannery from Innovation Dojo Japan to introduce a little bit about the Kobe City startup ecosystem. 本日神戸市外からお越しいただいている方もたくさんいらっしゃいますので、この機会にですね、イノベーション道場ジャパン CEO のジョシュア・フラネリーから改めて神戸市のスタートアップエコシステムについてご紹介させていただきたいと思います。Please welcome Josh to the stage. Oh, you're already here.
I'm here already. Thanks, Moe, and thank you, Takeda Kacho. So yeah, I'm Josh from Innovation Dojo Japan, and we are working very closely with Kobe City for the last 3 years or so on helping startups from all around the world have a smooth process into entering the market here and growing their business in Japan. So this presentation is the official Kobe City presentation, but from the eyes of an entrepreneur myself who's come in to Japan, and from the eyes of someone who's decided to choose Kobe as the place to have their headquarters here. So, let's see if the clicker is going to work for me. So, I'm not going to go through every single slide or every point, but I just wanted to highlight a few things that were meaningful to me as a foreign entrepreneur when I came into the ecosystem. So before anything, to consider where you're going, you need to have a big market, right? That's the same anywhere. And as I think some of you have seen today doing the tour, for particular industries like biotech, medtech, and health-related business, Kobe is actually the home to the largest cluster in Asia, right? Not just Japan. So there is that kind of density that you're looking for when you're deciding which country to go into next. The other thing is, to see if that's true or not, you want to see that other people have gone before you, other companies have decided that they'd set up in Kobe. And you just need to look around at some of the big international names, and you'll see later, I'll show you which ones in particular are here. They've come and they've decided to start in Kobe and grow their multinational business for Japan from this city. And the last one is, at the end of the day, put the business aside, we're all human, right? So we only want to work where we want to live. And Kobe is a lifestyle city. It's, I think you've been walking around for a little while here, you can see the lovely kind of setup of living between the mountains and the harbor. There's not many places so compact like that. So there's some of the reasons that I care about personally about Kobe. It's a big economy here, 60 billion US dollar economy, and yet it's quite full of foreign expatriates. So about 50,000 expats from around the world have chosen to live here. So as you walk down the streets of Sannomiya, you can see different people of different backgrounds have chosen to live here. And I think that's really important when you're doing business. Because at the end of the day, you want people that you can relate to in the same situation. It's great to have Japanese friends, and it's good to have foreign friends too, and that's a real natural thing that happens here in Kobe. Some of the companies I mentioned before, so you need no introduction to Nestle or P&G. They chose to have their headquarters here. And then if you're looking at the big corporates for B2B relationships, companies like Kawasaki, Kobe Steel, Sumitomo Rubber Industries, that owns the Dunlop brand, if you're a tennis player. And also ASICS, one of the biggest sports and apparel companies in the world, is here in Kobe. So what are the actual opportunities for entrepreneurs and startups and any kind of business coming into Kobe? Well, we've already spoken about the biomedical scene. So literally it's the largest cluster of biomedical tech companies in Asia here. If you look at new energy, I think some of you went and checked out the big hydrogen projects today. If I'm not wrong, that's the largest hydrogen project of its kind in Japan and maybe one of the top in the world in terms of exporting hydrogen to Australia and soon other places. Food industry, so lots of cities in Japan claim food, but Kobe is legitimately really a natural place to have a business related to food. It's a port city, so exporting and importing of food is where it all happens. And if you take a stroll down the Sannomiya laneways, you'll find some great eateries as well. So that the evidence is there. The last one I'll comment on here is tech and IT. So you may not already have the notion that Kobe is a place for tech and IT and AI and this kind of thing. But in some big news, we've actually attracted the 6th Microsoft AI collaboration lab in the world to Kobe. So they've chosen Kobe over all the other markets across Japan. And we expect that to be another reason for tech companies to come in. I'm going to skip through some of this. Actually, this is probably the most important part. So it takes a community or a village to raise a startup. And we've got a great solid village here of really serious contributors to the startup ecosystem. This represents a formal consortium made up of every type of company from venture capital to banks, financial institutions, supporters like us and some of our colleagues here, and the big corporates now that are looking for technology from overseas because they need to hurry up and transform their businesses digitally. So this is just the logos that represent the great innovative people that are based here in Kobe getting things done with innovation. I already think I've gone over my time, so I might wrap up there. But thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Kobe, and I really hope you enjoy your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Josh. Now that it's time to hear about a little more about the Nordic startup ecosystem, please welcome Niklas Karvonen, Community Director of Nordic Innovation House. それでは早速ですが、北欧のスタートアップエコシステムの概要について、ノルディックイノベーションハウスコミュニティディレクターのニコラスさんに、お話ししていただきます。Please welcome Niklas up to the stage.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and thanks a lot for allowing me to present here today. So my name is Niklas Karvonen. I'm Community Director at something called the Nordic Innovation House. I'm typically based in Tokyo, but it's also great for us to visit Kansai, and we've been also collaborating with many of the Kansai-based initiatives before. 皆さんこんにちは。ノルディックイノベーションハウス東京のニコラスと申します。今日は英語でやらせていただきます。In the next 10 minutes, I will give a very short introduction to the Nordic innovation ecosystem. What are some of the strengths that we have, as well as some of the recent investment relationships between Japan and the Nordic countries. But before we get started, can I get a raise of hands? How many of you have visited the Nordic countries? And excluding maybe the Nordic audience here. A few, okay, wonderful. And those of you who haven't, hopefully you will very soon and maybe be inspired by the presentation. Since today's topic is innovation, I wanted to start by showing off this slide, which is the unicorn companies that we have from the Nordic region. We actually have per capita second highest amount of unicorns in the world right after Silicon Valley. Some of the companies you might recognize here in Japan, for example, food delivery company Volt, Swedish Spotify music streaming company, Unity is a Denmark-based gaming engine, and there are many, many more that you might recognize as well. I will just say very few words about the activities that we do at Nordic Innovation House. Our mission is to support the types of companies that you just saw with their Japan entry. We are a governmental organization, and this forms the board for this project, and we work together with the Nordic embassies based in Tokyo. But let's have a look at the Nordic region. So it comprises of 5 countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, and Denmark. And we have a long history of collaboration across the 5 Nordic countries. Actually, already in 1952, something called the Nordic Council was created to enhance collaboration, competitiveness among the region. And we've had an integrated labor market since the 1954. If you combine all the 5 Nordic countries, our GDP ranks actually 5th in the European region. And we have a vision for 2030 that our region will be the most sustainable and integrated in the world. And I will get back to the point of sustainability in a little bit later. I will not go through all the information here as I only have 10 minutes, but typically when we talk to Japanese audience about Nordics, we have a word called Hokuo. And typically we are all lumped into one area, which is great, and there's a lot of common values that we share, but there are also some differences, and I will point out just a few of them. If we look at the population and the sizes of the country, Sweden is the largest. It's around double the size of the 3 next ones, which are Denmark, Finland, and Norway. And then when it comes to Iceland, we usually say it's about the 10th of the other countries. We all have different languages as well as different currencies. None of our countries are English native speakers, for example. That's also something that we tend to emphasize when we interact with our Japanese parties as well. GDP per capita among around the same. Norway is the highest. And when we look at major industries, I do want to highlight here that these are just some of the typical industries. Of course, there is innovations in these countries in other industries as well. But for example, Sweden, we will surely hear much later today as well. But retail, automobile, you might recognize brands like H&M, IKEA, Volvo, AstraZeneca. Denmark, pharmaceutical, agriculture, a long history in design as well. Finland, you might know a company called Nokia. Metals, forestry, chemicals. Norway, Iceland share a lot of similarities in aquaculture as well as machinery. And I would say renewable energy and particularly green battery ecosystem is something that could actually be pretty much cutting across all the countries moving forward. I listed here also some large corporates with open innovation activities. Already mentioned H&M, IKEA, for example, Stora Enso, forestry, Marimekko, quite well known in Japan. So there's a lot of history for large corporates to collaborate with startups and open innovation in the Nordics, and I think that is one of the key why we've been able to produce so many unicorn companies. I will talk about 3 strengths from the Nordic region moving forward regarding innovation, sustainability, and competitiveness. And for innovation, I actually choose these 2 rankings, which are the Gender Gap Index and the World Happiness Ranking, because as you know, innovation doesn't happen in the vacuum. It happens when people of diverse backgrounds come together and share their experiences in a safe space. And we're happy that we are ranking very high on the Gender Gap Index. Iceland has been topping it for many, many years. And when we talk about happiness ranking, it doesn't always mean that we are laughing all the time, but it's more about how safe do you feel in your country? Do you feel like you can live up to your best potential? And if something happens wrong in your life, do you feel like the government will support you in those cases? Finland has been ranking the top in this for quite some while, and we think that happiness and entrepreneurship are related. I wanted to pick one example. This is called Pay Analytics. This is an Icelandic company that is working to discover pay gaps within corporates. We still know that men tend to earn more than women in similar roles, and it is still the case in Nordic countries as well, unfortunately. But Pay Analytics is one interesting company that is working to discover these changes by using AI and giving recommendation to HR professionals in terms of how to address these pay gaps. In terms of competitiveness, we have a couple of index world competitiveness as well as the world digital competitiveness. This is a picture from the COVID-19 times in Denmark. I visited there, and I was very impressed by the way and how fast Denmark was able to introduce digital solutions to handle the COVID-19 pandemic. It was one of the first countries to introduce the COVID-19 passport. And Denmark has had an official digitalization plan since the 1990s, and majority of the Danish consumers, people, are very happy with how the government has handled its digitalization processes. I could talk much more about this particular case, please reach out later. It's really quite inspiring. I was there as a foreigner. I was able to download the app, get my certificate right away, and with a QR code I could go into different restaurants, etc. Something I was not used to before. And also a few words about sustainability. We cannot emphasize this enough. These are a couple of indexes from MIT's Green Future Index as well as the SDGs achievement. Big news, of course, from Sweden. Another project that we are looking very closely into is the H2 Green Steel, which aims to reduce, I think, 95% of the CO2 emissions in the steel industry, and they have raised quite a bit of money just very recently. Another interesting case. Last few slides that I have are about investments from Japanese investors and corporates to Nordic startups. Here we actually use the word New Nordics, so it has the Baltic countries as well. So if you look at the below three, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia. This information is, by the way, all publicly available at our partners called NAVA, Nordic Asian Venture Alliance. You can find it all from there. But as we can see, the graph is looking quite promising. Even during COVID years, we've had quite a few investments from Japanese corporates to Nordic startups. I will not go through all of this, but this is also publicly available if you want to have a look at what type of corporates have invested into what kind of companies. We have general trading companies, CVC arms of Japanese corporates, as well as some VCs as well. This is a little bit more information about it. Topping the rank is, of course, Nordic Ninja VC. This is a venture capital that is based in Helsinki and backed by Japanese limited partners such as Panasonic, Honda, Omron, and the Japan Bank for International Cooperation. Happy to share you all the links, etc., if you want to have a look at it a little bit more into these investments. But this is actually all I wanted to share for you today about the Nordics. Maybe a couple of keywords: competitiveness, sustainability, digitalization, as well as some of the industries, and that we have a rising amount of interest from Japan, and we are very collaborative as a region, and I think that is a keyword that will come across in the presentations to follow as well. But thank you very much for allowing me to present. If you're interested in our activities, we are all over the social media. We tweet and post every day, both English and Japanese, about interesting investments and collaborations between our innovation ecosystems. So, yeah, thank you very much. ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for the insightful presentation, Niklas. Okay, so I think it's the time to hand over to our Sweden Malmo City delegation. We will hear a little more about their initiatives and their how to collaborate with them. 続いてはスウェーデンのマルメ市よりお越しいただいた訪問団の皆様から、マルメ市のスタートアップエコシステム、またどのようにコラボレーション機会があるかというところをお話ししていただきます。Please welcome Torsten Blad, Daniel Penson, Hanne Klinte to the stage.
I will start talking. My name is Hanne Klinte. I represent the String Mega Region. A mega region is a large region where economic activity coherence between other economic activity. And in the string mega region, we have been pointed out by the OECD as one of the top 20 global green hubs in the world. And here you can see the area, so it's a little bit smaller than what Niklas was sharing. It goes from Oslo along the western coast of Sweden through Denmark and down to Hamburg. We are 15 members, cities and regions working together. And you might wonder, why is that interesting for you? What it creates is agglomeration, this coherence between our green technologies, so the sustainability part that Niklas was sharing about, creates this power that is very visible in the world. So that was not the slide I expected. 84% of the investments into the region, and you can see that Malmo is right at the center of that, together with Copenhagen. That's where the most of the activity is. 84% of the investment is foreign, from places like Boston, Washington, California, even Tokyo, Central Europe. So it is a place that has enormous global visibility for investors. And if you were to come to the region, you would benefit from that even if you're not working in that sector. There it was. So basically, as a company, you gain visibility, but you also benefit from this enormous innovation network that we have. We have mapped it out, and the connections between science hubs, universities, startup hubs, and businesses is enormous. And what we do in the Nordics is that we implement all these green solutions into society. So we prove them in our own society, and that's what creates the attraction power. So I think that's all I have. I'll give the word over to Malmo City.
Thank you so much. So, we had a great introduction before from Niklas about the Nordic countries, and now we would like to talk a little bit about Malmö, the city of Malmö, located in the south of Sweden, and why we think you should go there. So just to put Malmö on the map for you, as you can see, Malmö is located just in the south of Sweden. It's also, as Hanna explained, part of the string mega region. And here, this is one of the main strengths that we would say, the location of Malmö. So, as you can see, Malmö there, south of Sweden, it's very, very close to the capital of Denmark, actually. You can go by train over, we have a bridge connecting Malmö to Copenhagen, and if you take the train, it's only 15 minutes to the international airport of Copenhagen, from where you can reach Haneda Airport and other major cities around in Europe and the world. So this makes Malmö a very connected city. And also, in the near future, in 2029, we will have a new connection between, if you see here, the south of Denmark and the north of Germany. So once this connection is built, we will also be able to take the train from Malmö down to Hamburg in only 3 hours. So Malmö is very, very well connected. And also to connect kind of to what Joshua was saying, when it comes to innovation, Malmö is also very much a lifestyle city. It's a very young and global and dynamic city. We represent over 180 different nationalities in Malmö. Almost half of the population is under the age of 35. So it's a very young city, a very vibrant and very international city. And this, of course, creates a vibrant culture. We have food from all over the world, and it creates a very unique lifestyle in the city of Malmö. And just to give a little short brief look at the business sector, We have Japanese companies present in Malmo as well. We have Sony, we have Hoya, and we also have, this is not a Japanese company per se, but Axis is owned by the Japanese company Canon. We also have 3 major Japanese companies who have selected Malmo as their Nordic headquarters. That's Fanuc, Honda, and Subaru. So, and we have a very diversified business sector. 3 of our key industries in Malmo are sustainability, life science, and food. We will soon have 3 people from the business sector of Malmo to talk a little bit more about these. And so, this is a little bit more about why we from the city of Malmo are here. We are in the process of establishing a business and innovation hub focusing on Japanese startups in Malmo. And why are we doing this? Well, the city of Malmo has a history of brave decisions regarding transformation, infrastructure, and sustainability. This is something that's continuing, and we have identified Japan as the ideal international partner for this. And we have mainly 4 reasons for this. As you saw before, you have established business ties from Japan in Malmo. We also see a very strong interest in international cooperation from Japan. We see similar focus areas and challenges, and we see similar cultures actually and mindsets between Japan and Sweden. And how will we do this? Well, we want to establish collaborations with innovation ecosystems in Japan, as we are trying to do here with the city of Kobe, of course. And we also want to find Japanese entrepreneurs and innovators for our Japanese business and innovation hub in Malmo. And it will look a little bit like this. This is the Malmo incubator. It's called MINC. We are offering spaces at MINC for Japanese startups to come and join their operations there, and also offering some support structures specifically for Japanese startups within that ecosystem. I want Donald to talk a little bit about MINC. We only have about 2 minutes, but here we go.
Yeah, so 2 minutes and counting. And my name is Daniel, I'm the CEO of MINC, and I would say MINC is a company, but we're also a house, as you saw on the building. So we have like 6,000 square feet where we can actually offer business advice to entrepreneurs within the city in different phases. But we also have lots of other organizations that will support startups in any way, such as the Japan Innovation Business Hub. So we are both a community and a company that works quite heavily with, let's see, yeah, it's there. So what we can offer from a business advice point of view, we can help out with really early stage ideation for potential entrepreneurs. So if you come up with an idea, mainly within the tech sector, you can come to MINC and you can get some first advice, and we will help them also to understand if this is worth pursuing creating a company around that business idea. That is what we do mainly in Sprint. And then we have what we call an incubator program. So we're also part of the Swedish National Innovation Strategy, where we can give more specific advising for certain companies where they can actually grow as companies, hopefully finding the first initial product market fit in their product or service. What we also try to offer is when they are post-incubation, try to make sure that they can now take off and start preparing for scale. I wouldn't say that we will help them scale, but getting ready for scale. Then we try to let them go, but of course they're always welcome to be a part of the community. What we also can do is that we're operating a really small investment fund, so we can make the super early, not pre-seed, not before angel round. It's like 30,000 euros, so it's a small investment just to kickstart their current businesses. That's what we can do at MINC as well. We also have an international or European-based accelerator for those companies within Europe that are unicorn potential, hyper-scalable. What we do is that we will introduce them to the characteristics of negotiate with VCs. So we take about 10 companies a year in our batch and we work with them, making sure that they have the right traction and they can understand how to actually be approached or negotiate when they meet VCs. And approximately 70% of the companies, they will later on either get a Sorry, yeah, I will sum it up. That was my last sentence. No, the goal for them is to actually get either a pre-seed, a larger pre-seed, or a seed round, and 70% of them will actually succeed after the accelerator. So it's quite good. So that was pretty much about it, and we will be here, of course, and I have two colleagues with me as well. So we would be really glad to speak to you, startups and founders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and sorry for that. So now we will hear a little bit about the sustainability work that's happening in Malmo. So please give a warm welcome to Heidi Lindvall. We seem to be having some technical problems. So. Just to give, okay.
Okay, there's someone here who can hear me. That's good.
We can hear you. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, go ahead, please.
There we go. Okay. So should I start from the start, or did you hear me so far?
We didn't hear anything so far, so please, if you can, start from the beginning.
There we go. All right. So my name is Heidi Lindvall. I am one of the founders of a VC fund called Pale Blue Dot, based in Malmo in Sweden. We invest in climate tech companies around Europe and US. We have two funds, one 87 million euro fund, which we raised about 4 years ago, and another 93 million euro fund. Climate tech that we invest in is very wide for us. We see climate as essentially a lens that we look at every sector that is out there. So climate tech for us is food and agriculture, it's fintech, it's infrastructure, real estate, transport, mobility, fashion, etc. And essentially the way we see it is that every single sector and every single industry will need to be prepared for a world where everything needs to be essentially climate positive. So everything is going to change, and therefore we pretty much can invest in anything. Mainly software in terms of our investments, but we can do some hardware and some deep tech as well. We invest at an early stage, so we invest at pre-seed and seed. Generally, our ticket sizes are between 500,000 euros to 2 million euros, with the average ticket being around 1 million euros. I mentioned Europe and US. Europe is very much our focus. This is our home, and this is where we know the infrastructure, we know the networks, and we know the problems in a better way. So we're very much focused here, but we can invest in US as well opportunistically when we have an opportunity to do so. We have done 32 investments so far, and our investments are ranging from things like we have some food products. For example, we have a seaweed-based tuna company. Then we have a lot of software products that make things more efficient. So for example, we have a company that helps you run cold storage facilities in a more energy efficient way. We have a company that helps with a more efficient steel making. And then we have companies that help you align finances to net zero goals and align essentially finances to sustainable ways of thinking about economic activities. We have a second fund, as I mentioned, so we're going to do another 40-50 investments. So we're very, very active in this space. We very much believe that climate tech is the biggest opportunity in terms of investment in general at this point. We raised this fund, or we raised both of our funds because we saw such a gap where everyone is moving more towards sustainability. Everyone is needing to be, due to regulations, due to net zero goals, and to, of course, to the urgency of our climate crisis, we need to adapt business to that. And it really hasn't been done thus far, which is, very surprising to us. So we very much see this as the biggest economic opportunity. And when we first started raising our fund 4 years ago, I think a lot of people doubted that, and a lot of people were wondering if this was philanthropy and if this genuinely was a good business opportunity. But now, 4 years later, I think we're seeing that returns in climate are the highest of all of the other sectors. It's overtaken crypto and AI on many fronts, which is really great to see. So we very much believe that this is something that we all should be focusing on right now, and this, yes, in fact, is our biggest opportunity right now. All the three of us who've started the fund, we are all entrepreneurs, and by heart, we have all built businesses ourselves. So a big part of what we do is working really closely with the companies and trying to make sure that they have the help they need to build the successful businesses. And I want to stress that this is not philanthropy. This is, for us, the biggest investment opportunity, and we do expect the same type of $1 billion returns that any other VC fund. Our fund is only 3.5 years old, but so far our numbers kind of speak for themselves, and our portfolio is pretty strong in terms of looking at any other generalistic fund. Most of the co-investors or most of the follow investors invest in our companies are some of the biggest ones in Europe. So I think that's also very encouraging to see. I would say, in terms of going back a little bit to what we invest in and what is important, I also want to stress that this is not clean tech, and it's not the same as has happened before. It's not the clean tech bubble where people think about just renewables or they think about energy. As I said, this is something kind of goes across all sectors, and I think this is a very important thing for us to kind of always say to people, that climate is something that I think every single investment company have in their portfolios without essentially calling it climate. And I think in the future, my hope is that we will all do climate investments without actually calling them that, because it's a part of every company needing to survive in the future will be being climate positive and will be having built everything in a sustainable way as much as possible. So that is kind of a very important way for us to look at it, and we are even discussing whether we should be called a climate company in general. So maybe in the future we'll drop the climate tech VC and just be a VC doing this. Yeah, I think that's it, and I'm happy for us to have if there are any questions from any of you.
I think you have about 1 minute until the next presentation, so we can have a very short question. Or otherwise, we will say thank you very much to Heidi for a great presentation. So next up, we will have a presentation about the life science sector in the greater Malmo region, you can say. So please welcome Ulrika Ringdahl.
Thank you. Do you see my slides?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. So thank you, Municipality of Malmö and the City of Kobe, for inviting me to talk about life science in Skåne, which happens to be my favorite topic. My name is Ulrika Ringdahl, and I represent the SMILE Incubator, which is a business incubator assisting life science researchers in exploring their research ideas and commercializing them to viable companies. As you have already heard today, Skåne and Malmö, the southernmost part of Sweden, is located in the heart of Scandinavia. Its unique geography as part of the Scandinavia and Greater Copenhagen region makes it a point of connection not only just between Denmark and Sweden through the Öresund Bridge, but also connecting Europe to the Nordics. And it might not be that impressive compared to Japanese cities, but in fact this is the most densely populated area and the largest labor market in all of the Nordics. So since the 90s we have tied strong bands to the Danes within life science when establishing the Medicon Valley Life Science Cluster. It was an initiative initially taken by the universities, but which since then has evolved into pharma, biotech, medtech and health tech collaboration on both sides of the border. Since almost 10 years, we have also had a formal collaboration agreement between the Japan Bioindustry Association and the Medicon Valley Alliance network. Joint efforts have been made, especially in the area of cell and gene therapy, an area where we of course are inspired by Japan and the prestigious Nobel Prize by Professor Yamanaka in 2012. Last week I was myself in Tokyo and Yokohama participating in our largest pharma conference, BioJapan. I was part of the delegation discussing regenerative medicine, cell and gene therapy with all of the major pharma companies. And this provided an excellent opportunity to find collaboration partners for joint development of future medicines. And we had many inspiring meetings with the large pharma companies. Medicon Valley has a strong knowledge base in life science. As many as 9 universities have programs within life science, and today we have more than 1,500 researchers within life science and 11,000 PhD students in the region, which is promising for the future development. Sweden and Denmark ranks on top of the European Union Innovation Scoreboard, and this is both when EU are comparing at the national and a regional level. We believe that one of the explanations for this is that we in life science have a mix between larger pharma companies in combination with a large number of smaller biotech startups with innovative ideas. In Medicon Valley, we have a total number of 1,100 companies operating in the life science field, and altogether more than 65,000 people are working in the private life science sector. And considering our not as big number of inhabitants, this is almost 5% of the people in the region working within life science. If we zoom in a little bit on the Skåne region and the strongholds here, one can say that life science sector in Skåne has a strong academic reputation with a large number of international recognized scientific publications. It's a diverse sector, including companies not only in basic and clinical research, but also production and distribution of medicine and medical technology, especially in the city of Malmö. The recent years there have been a change that entails both the increased focus on prevention, but also a new approach to tech and big data. And we see new exciting products in the cross-border between tech and health. Our heritage from Ericsson inventing the first portable phone and the Bluetooth technology may have paved the way for these more tech-oriented life science technologies. Strongholds in the region are primarily oncology, diabetes, neuroscience, stem cells, and regenerative medicine, but also inflammation, diagnostics, precision medicine, and health tech. We also have a long tradition of collecting samples for biobanks and registers, which makes us a perfect location for conducting clinical trials and registry studies. What is unique with our region is also that the government, the municipalities, the universities and the industry puts a lot of effort in creating a triple helix collaboration initiative. Innovative, supportive, and collaborative ecosystem is created, and we wish that companies are thinking big, be innovative, and try new and sometimes crazy ideas, and to develop collaborationships to take innovations to the next step. Being a small country, of course, we are aware that we cannot do everything ourselves and are dependent on international collaborationships. Therefore, we put a lot of efforts in expanding our partnerships by promoting our regional strongholds abroad, and also to create ways to welcome international collaboration partners into our ecosystem of life science. And this Japan Bridge is just being one example of this. Today we have a strong system that supports company and entrepreneurs to develop and commercialize ideas for innovation, and they all run various forms of development and innovation programs. You just heard Mink talking about their efforts within the tech area, and within life science we have the Medeon Science Park in Malmo, and also Smile Incubator, which I myself represent. As I mentioned before, Smile Incubator is a life science incubator that assists primarily researchers from the university with innovative ideas to build business from these ideas. We work on all steps on collaboration and the commercialization, and over the years we have had more than 100 companies in the incubator. The success is that we offer tailor-made programs run by a large number of business coaches and mentors that assist the companies. They all have a vast experience from the pharma industry or venture cap market, and just as Daniel from Mink mentioned, we have a very small venture fund which can invest in the early phase of the most successful companies. And this is our bragging slide. Currently we have 27 portfolio companies in the incubator, and we are a diverse place with more than 40 nationalities. We are also proud to say that we have 41% female CEO and founders, which actually attract 50% of the venture capital. 21 of our companies has IPO'd since the start, and 86% of the companies are still growing, which in the life science field is a very good number. I will stop here, but first I would like to mention that the companies at Smile are part of a large ecosystem of interesting biotech companies looking for partnerships. And if you are interested in the life science area, you are I'm happy to take questions, and I'm also happy to connect afterwards to do some matchmaking. Thank you for your attention, and arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much, Ulrika. We have about 2 minutes until the next presentation, so if you have a question now, we can take it now. Is there anyone in the audience who is wondering something? Not at the moment. I'm not sure if you're going to stick around, Ulrika, but if you do, we can perhaps take some questions afterwards. But thank you very much for a very great presentation. So I see that our next presenter, Jens, is getting prepared. So if you are ready to go, Jens, you are welcome to do so.
Thank you, sure. Good morning, everyone. Here we go. Slides working?
It's working. It's working. You're a little bit quiet.
Okay.
If you try, say something again.
Better now?
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much.
All right, so hi everyone, I'm Jens Almqvist, and I will give you a brief overview of food in the region of Skåne, which is the region where Malmo is located. Some short notes about me. I'm head of incubator at Kinova, Incubator and Science Park. I also work as a food consultant at Almqvist and Almqvist, which is a company I run myself. And I write a bit about food in the local papers. So this is a dinner or lunch I did the other week for a client. What I think is interesting about this picture is that if you see in the background, there's agricultural land, and this space is being developed at this point into a residential area. But in Skåne, agricultural land is all around the cities. So it's possible to have interaction between the countryside and the agricultural land and the cities. And this is something that I think is really important to know about Skåne. Agricultural rural areas are really close to the cities. Skåne is also known to have top quality soil, one of the best in Europe. 85% of all Swedish orchards are located in Skåne, primarily apples. In Skåne there are 7,500 farms, and they're organized mainly as family-owned farms, although there are of course corporations as well. And they are organized in farmer organizations such as LRF and Lantmännen. This also links into the gastronomy side of things. This is pictures from one of my favorite restaurants in Malmo. It's called Two Forks. And as you see, this is not very typical Swedish traditional cuisine, or maybe you haven't been to Sweden, but we are known to have Swedish meatballs. This is not Swedish meatballs. On the gastronomy side, Malmö has 186 different countries living in the city, different nationalities, and this also reflects a lot on the gastronomy scene. I'd say that most popular restaurants at this point are either inspired by or cook in the tradition of international cuisine. Also the strong farm to fork, which means that chefs have the ability to source local ingredients which reflect on the menus. A lot of restaurants also have their own farms or have close relationships to farms. And the general price point for a dinner out range between 2,000 to 9,000 yen. Diving in a bit into innovation and tech and startup, this is a great picture that I lent from colleagues at Invest in Skåne. As you can see, there's quite a range of companies and organizations working in food in the region. The knowledge infrastructure, of course, where you have SLU, which is the agricultural university. We have Kristianstad University, we're focusing on gastronomy. We have Lund University, focusing mainly on tech. The supporting infrastructure, for example, where the organization I work for is residing, Kinova. We have lots of test beds and production sites. There is a number of large food companies present in the area, and there is also a whole lot of interesting and up-and-coming food startups. So most of the important things I'd say is that there's a strong knowledge base and strong academia. Sustainability is driving startups. The support system is accessible and versatile. and that drinks is dominant on the startup scene at this point. Companies such as Oatly, Dug, Sprout, Hjelte, and Good Idea. For me, working within this field, it's very important to sort of foster interaction between these different types of organizations. And this here is a picture from the other week where when a company in the Kinova portfolio went to use the Tetra Pak PDC Product Development Center, they were offered a whole day working on their up-and-coming product within their facilities. And this is a full-scale pilot production plant holding all the technical aspects of food production, all things Tetra Pak do globally can be done on this site, and it's accessible for food companies that are willing to collaborate with Tetra Pak. So, and to finish this presentation and then open up for questions about Skåne and food, I will say a few words about Kinova Incubator. We work mainly in food. We have an incubator with 12 companies in our portfolio. And it ranges from drinks, of course, to software as a service, plant-based transition companies, and industry solutions such as bioreactors and chill chains. We work with a challenge-driven method and coaching, so there's no strict programming, although we do offer reoccurring events. But it's a challenge-driven method, which means that when the companies need our help, we divert resources to help them. When they don't, we let them do their work by themselves, and so it goes in sort of a dynamic relationship. And we focus very much on, since food globally and definitely also in Sweden, food startups is something new. And when I say new, is that it's like the new thing is that there are more and more of them, which puts demand on the innovation infrastructure and the support system. So we focus a lot on building new infrastructure and also developing access to the existing infrastructure. That was it for me, and I'm glad to open up for questions. I'm Jens, and you please, if you want to connect with me, there's my email, and also I'm on Instagram. So yeah, questions about food in Skåne.
Thank you so much, Jens. Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions?
その後全体に対する質疑応答も設けますが、この質疑応答もその後は日本語でも結構ですので、もしご質問があればぜひ挙手の方お願いします。
Okay, so we'll move on to the next part, and we'll give a big thank you to Jens.
So thank you for the presentation, and thank you everyone from joining from the Zoom. Now I would like to take a few minutes for Q&A here. 今からちょっと、5分か10分ほど質疑応答の時間を設けたいと思っております。もちろん日本語でも結構ですし、ちょっとこの場ではっていう方はぜひネットワーキングの時に直接お伺いしていただくことも大丈夫ですが、もしこの場でご共有いただけるような質問があればぜひお願いします。Any questions? Maybe not. Alright. はい、お願いします。日本語でも英語でも大丈夫。
Okay. Hi, I want to ask you in Japanese first. I want to confirm my understanding. ちょっと理解を確認したいんですけども、こちら、マルモ市は特にスタートアップ、日本のスタートアップをマルモ市に迎えたいと思っている、そういう理解でいいかどうかっていうのと、あとその時に、地理的な関係でスウェーデンとかにも近くてドイツにも近くて比較的大きな会社に対してはいい位置にあるビジネスを北欧とかヨーロッパでスタートするのにいい位置にあるというのはなんか理解できたんですけど、スタートアップにとってなぜいいのかっていうところはちょっと理解できなかったっていうところがポイントになります。I should try to explain in English or you can translate. Then I have a question for your presentation and first I want to confirm my understanding. Malmo want to welcome a Japanese startup. Am I right? Then I have a question. From my presentation, I can understand that Malmo have a good strong point, opportunity or a good point for a kind of big company because of the geographical reason, very close to Denmark and also Germany. But so I understand Malmo locate a good good location for a kind of big company already have a certain business and want to start a business in Europe or in Nordic company. Then Malmo is a good decision and good option for big company. But I couldn't understand why the Japanese startup should choose Malmo. This is my question.
Torsten, can you answer that?
I can try, or I can begin, and maybe someone else from the team can fill in. Thank you so much for the question. We didn't talk so much about the startup scene because we were limited on time. But I think one thing that should be clarified in this context is that the startup, or the kind of the innovation ecosystem existing in Sweden and in Malmo, startups, they think globally from the start. So if you start a company and you have a startup in Malmo, you don't think only about the Swedish market, you think about the global market. So when we talk about the international context and the connectivity to the other countries, it's from that perspective. That if you're a startup in Malmo, you think globally from the start, and therefore being connected in that way is a huge benefit from that perspective. Is there anything else you would like to?
ちょっと今の日本語で要約させていただきますと、ちょっと時間がなかったので今回スタートアップシーンについてあまり触れなかったんですけども、やっぱりマルメ市のイノベーションエコシステムにおいて一番スタートアップにとって魅力的なのは、最初からグローバルの市場を目指すような、エコシステムだということです。おそらくスウェーデンの中で今後展開していくにはスウェーデンだけではなく、今後その先の視点というところで、最初からグローバル志向を持ったスタートアップになれるというところが一つ大きな魅力になるということをおっしゃってました。Do you want to add?
Yeah, I can add a bit. I think, first of all, it's mainly during the scaling phase. When you're actually ready to grow out of either Japan or Asia, I think Scandinavia, Malmo is a really good place to start exploring. Since the Scandinavia is quite well known for its innovation, it means that we have a lot of early adopters as well, so you can always test out your product. And there will be some legislation, policy related issues as well entering into Europe, where I think that we can actually help out a lot. One other, I think, major advantage is that Malmo is one of the most diverse cities in the world. We have approximately 180 nationalities, meaning that when you enter the tech sector, the startup community, you will have access to a lot of knowledge worldwide. So I think that is a major opportunity as well. You can also try to explore Europe, but you will have people from Middle East, of course US, every parts of the world. So I think this is something that is quite unique in Malmo in general, and also at MINC. We have at least 40 languages spoken at Mink by the entrepreneurs. We also have a lot of advantages when it comes to equality. We have a strategic goal that 50% of the companies that we help should be either founded or co-founded by females. So I'm really glad to see so many women here, because I mean traditionally when you have entrepreneurial events it's always males. And I think we're quite unique both in Scandinavia, as Niklas pointed out, but of course at Mink as well. So I think those are also a few major advantages of why you should come to Mink, Malmo, and Scandinavia.
ちょっと要約させていただきますと、主に日本から海外を目指すようなスケール段階のスタートアップにとってのメリットにはなりますが、いろいろ海外市場に行くにあたって制限とかってあると思うので、そういったところを支援されるようなことであったり、ちょっとすみません、メモが汚すぎてなんて書いてる。あと実証実験の場としてもかなり豊富であるということを言っておりました。あともう一つメリットとしては、スウェーデン内の中で180国籍を持つ方々がいらっしゃるので、ダイバーシティというところもかなり強くなっております。なのでスウェーデンにいながらも、米国であったり他の、市場を試すような機会があったりだとか、あとは40言語をミックの中でも40言語を喋られるような方がいらっしゃるので、何かスウェーデンにいながらも他の国の文化を感じ取られるようなことがメリットになっているっていうのと、あとはダイバーシティという意味では、女性起業家もかなり、今回のイベントもかなり女性の方にも参加いただいていると思うんですけど、なかなかそういったところって他の国は難しかったりするんで、そういった女性起業家っていうところでも進んでいるっていうことを言っておりました。Thank you。あともし一つくらい質問があれば。One question?
No more I could add.
One time, okay. どんどんメリットが出てきてますけど。
Just wanted to add a little bit to your question, that if you look at it in a slightly larger scale, one of the reasons why the string mega region has become the center for green tech is that traditionally we are very good at connecting the whole innovation network end to end into society. So both implementing the solutions in society, which is a great opportunity for a startup if you develop a solution that can be implemented at scale, maybe a technological solution for health or something like that. There is great connection there. Furthermore, if you develop something that is bigger technologies, like in Scandinavia we have a lot of renewable energy and we paved the way for green hydrogen, then we work together to create new policies so that it is allowed to use these things, so it's allowed to deploy it very fast. So I think there's a great strength in this very high level of democracy and open democracy that allows you to turn over very fast, where it's not a long bureaucratic decision.
Thank you. I was completely lost for the second part, so I might need your help, Niklas. But すいません、ちょっと1点目だけお話しさせていただくと、もうちょっと広い視野で見たときに、なぜスウェーデンがグリーンテックとして進んでいるかっていうのは、大きな理由として、まず伝統的にイノベーションのスタートアップエコシステムと、あとソサイティって言ってたんですけど、社会、ここがすごい強いつながりを持っているというところで、通常時間がかかるような社会実装っていうのも、ここの距離感が近いからこそ、スムーズに早く進めるっていうのが一つありますっていうのを言っておりました。ニクレスさん、2個目いけますか？
いやでもうまくできたかと思いますけれども、やっぱりその規制の方ですね、コラボレーションも我々一応ちょっと別の言葉っていうのはパブリック・プライベート・パートナーシップというなんですけれども、やっぱりそういう民間企業と、法律の方々とも連携しながら、進んでいくというのは、北欧のスタイルかなと思っております。
ありがとうございます。
自分のことを忘れてしまって。
ごめんなさい。
はい。Okay. All right. I think that's enough for the Q&A session, especially enough for me. That was a much of translation. So I would like to move on to the networking time, but before that, I would like to ask everyone to fill in our feedback form through this year, through this program, we will have more and more events in the future, and we will really like to improve these kind of events. So please scan this QR code. ネットワーキングタイムに入る前にですね、今後この神戸市の事業においても年間でいくつかイベントを企画しておりまして、どんどんより良いイベントを企画していきたいと思っておりますので、もしよければ皆様からフィードバックであったりコメントというところを、この QR コードをスキャンして Google フォームを通して送っていただければと思います。また回答の一番下にはですね、こういうテーマでイベント開催してくださいみたいな欄もあるので、もし皆さんね、他のテーマでご関心があれば開いてください。開きます？ちょっとお待ちくださいね。すいません。Okay, so I would like to thank all the organizers, especially Kobe City, speakers from Malmo, and the participants for being part of this event today. はい、ということで本日は改めまして皆さんご参加いただき誠にありがとうございました。おそらくプレゼンテーションの中でもうちょっと具体的に聞きたいだとか、ちょっとここ理解できなかったんですけどみたいなこともあるかと思いますので、ネットワーキングの時間が直哉さん、5時までですかね。はい、40分ちょっとありますので、ぜひ今日参加している30から40名の皆さんと名刺交換できるような勢いでネットワーキングしていただければと思います。改めまして本日ありがとうございました。Thank you everyone!